Chapter 311 Secrets of Blood Sacrifice. Just as Han Li was considering this, the dark-faced old man continued without stopping. We were unable to discover the true circumstances of the Black Fiend Schoolmaster's cultivation. By his side, there are 4 great blood servants closely protecting him, similar to the one we encountered today. It is certain that we are not capable of being their match as we are now. Thus, I recommend to Senior that we do not take the initiative to further provoke them and that it would be best to wait for reinforcements. Be at ease. This Black Fiend Schoolmaster is at most a late Foundation establishment cultivator. I'm quite certain he has yet to reach core formation. Han Li, who had originally been listening from the beginning, suddenly interrupted the old man's words and said this with much certainty. Han Li's words stunned the dark-faced old man at first, but he suddenly became happy. The others also appeared greatly relieved. Although they didn't know why Han Li was so certain, since it was Senior Han who had said this, it was extremely unlikely he was wrong. A moment ago, they had been discussing that if their enemy happened to be a core formation cultivator, they would only be able to flee in humiliation. Even if with the assistance of reinforcements from the 7 sects, it was still uncertain if the Black Fiend Schoolmaster could be dealt with. But now that Han Li had said this, the hearts of the 4 friends of Meng Mountain naturally grew much calmer. Could Senior tell us a few things? When we interrogated Steward Wang, he didn't have the slightest idea about the Black Fiend Schoolmaster's cultivation. 4th brother, what nonsense are you speaking? Since Senior Han has said this, it must be completely true. The dark-faced old man fiercely rebuked the youth with a serious expression. When Han Li heard their words, he slightly smiled and calmly said, "This isn't some kind of secret. This information came from the fact that the schoolmaster requires Foundation establishment cultivators to conduct blood sacrifices." Han Li's relaxed voice slowly explained this. Although our Yellow Maple Valley isn't very involved with devilish Tao cultivation techniques, we do have some understanding of blood sacrifices, this impatient and destructive evil magic. This devilish art works by taking an other cultivator's blood essence and using it to boost their own cultivation. This was once a common occurrence in previous devilish sects, as it is able to greatly increase a cultivator's magic power in a short period and skip a great amount of time spent in meditation, bitterly cultivating. As a result, there was a time in the cultivation world when not only the devilish Tao but even righteous sects had many people secretly cultivation this technique. After Han Li said this, he coldly laughed, and a slight sneer occurred at the corner of his mouth. Then he continued, "However, this insane cultivation technique not only required the vicious and merciless slaughter of many other cultivators, but it also had a fatal flaw. It is only effective at the level of Foundation establishment and below. In addition, those who use blood sacrifices are doomed to stay at Foundation establishment for the rest of their lives without any hope of reaching core formation. During that time when so many cultivators secretly cultivated this devilish art, not a single one of them was able to reach core formation. What's worse is that as they consumed the blood sacrifice's magic power, they would often experience backlash. If one was not careful, he or she would encounter Qigong deviation and die. Obviously, the main reason as to why this cultivation technique disappeared without a trace was because it became a taboo amongst all cultivators to consume another's blood essence. Thus, both the righteous and the devil Tao gradually eradicated those who practiced this devilish art. However, it was later said that the devilish Tao had hated to part with this method of hurriedly increasing their cultivation and instead created a cultivation technique that was known as blood sacrifice. However, this method didn't directly consume another's blood essence. Instead, it would use a cultivator's soul. Although I've heard the rise in cultivation wasn't as sudden or quick as the original blood sacrifice, it shared the same restrictions, preventing core formation and containing the same danger of backlash. It was aptly named soul sacrifice. With regards to soul sacrifice, my sect's ancient records didn't mention much of it. I only know that once it was established, it was only grasped by a few higher echelon experts of the Devil Tao and wasn't widely circulated, preventing a massacre in the cultivation world. Furthermore, There are also many other restrictions in other areas. In a single breath, Han Li had spoken of many secrets with regards to blood sacrifice. As rogue cultivators, this greatly widened the perspective of the four friends of Meng Mountain. At the same time, they also knew why Han Li was certain that the Black Fiend schoolmaster was only at Foundation establishment. It was very obvious that Black Fiend school used the first method of blood sacrifice. We have already acquired a rough understanding of the internal circumstances of the Black Fiend school. However, that large bald man escaped, so by now, the Black Fiend school should know of our circumstances as well. They might immediately abandon their nest and flee. As such, if they've hidden themselves again, we would be at a disadvantage. The second brother suddenly thought of something and voiced his concern with worry. Impossible. It is currently unlikely for the Black Fiend school to immediately flee. From what I learned from the young prince, the Black Fiend school master is currently in a crucial point in secluded cultivation at some cave within the Imperial Palace. I've heard that the schoolmaster had prepared this secluded cultivation for several years and absolutely wouldn't give it up halfway through. It's most likely that they are gathering their forces and guarding against us. Han Li's tone of words held ridicule toward the Black Fiend school. Hearing these words, the four friends' spirits were roused, and they revealed slight excitement. "Senior, then next we must." After the dark-faced old man calmed down, he probingly asked this. "We don't have to do anything next except calmly wait for reinforcements. Although the other party knows of our circumstances, they don't know where we are hiding. Furthermore, the people taking care of their business in Eugene are none other than the two captives in our hands. If the Black Fiend school wanted to go find us, they wouldn't be able to send any capable men. However, everyone must be a bit careful. In the coming days, stay and properly cultivate within the residence. When reinforcements come, we will then make our decision." Han Li massaged his nose with his hand as he said this, with the corner of his mouth slightly raised. His eyes had already become narrow slits. With a mysterious smile on his face, Han Li caused the others to feel greatly perplexed. The imperial city of the state of Yue occupied 1/5 of its land. However, a third of the imperial city was occupied by the glorious and magnificent imperial palace. Layers of perfectly cut jade bricks formed the palace floors, along with countless elegant corridors, in addition to many decorative gardens with rarely seen flowers and plants. Even eunuchs and palace maids who had lived in the palace for years would often lose their way, a testament to how extensive the imperial palace was. It was currently almost midnight. The original bustling of court eunuchs and palace maids had long exchanged for a heavy guard with sentries posted every few meters. But under these circumstances, there was still a person whose entire body was tightly covered in a wide cloak, swaggering through the layers of sentries with a gold medallion in hand, walking toward the depths of the cold palace hall. This person was extremely tall. Looking at the sinister palace gate, the mysterious man suddenly shed off his cloak and exposed his massive bald head. This was precisely the large bald man who had escaped from Han Li. At this moment, he no longer had his demonic appearance and seemed quite normal. However, his face was pale and seemed lacking in blood. It appeared his origin chi had been greatly depleted. "Who is it?" Just as the large bald man walked 2 steps forward, an extremely cold voice came from within the palace hall. "Ice Demon, it's me." The large bald man replied without a trace of politeness. He walked through the gate without stopping. "So it was Tai Luo. You came back from your mission. But wait, why are your footsteps so weak and your chi so lacking? Could it be that you, who claims to be seldom harmed by magic tools and impenetrable to ice and fire, suffered quite a bit?" The ice-cold voice asked with some shock. But soon after, the speaker took joy in the bald man's misfortune. "Humph, what does an ice-cold fellow like you know? The person I encountered this time was a formidable fellow. Let alone me, even if us two work together, I fear we wouldn't be good enough. Were it not for the quick-witted fiend demon transformation I planned in advance, I fear I would have lost my life there," the large bald man replied with a cold smile. "You used the fiend demon transformation? No wonder your origin chi has been injured. It seems that without a month of bitter cultivation, you won't have any hope of recovering. However, being able to pressure you like this, your opponent must truly be exceptional. Tell me about him. This ice demon held great curiosity in his words. After I first beg the schoolmaster for forgiveness, I will return and tell you this in detail. The schoolmaster's unnamed disciple was captured by the enemy, so right now I don't have time to deal with you. I don't know what punishment I'll receive for this blunder. The large bald man impatiently answered. Old Tai, you might not know, but unlike the others, it's as if we are all of one heart with the schoolmaster. How could the schoolmaster punish you? At most, he would rebuke you. The ice demon replied with objection. But these words soon lagged behind as the originally shut palace hall doors opened by themselves with a creak. An incomparably dark gateway was revealed, similar to that of a demonic beast opening its mouth to devour its chosen prey. When the large bald man saw this, he couldn't help but walk forward hesitantly. Qingwen and Yishi. When the large bald man walked forward through the doors, he immediately asked the white silhouette to the side. They went to the blood prison to cultivate. For the time being, only I remained to take care of things. The image of the white silhouette erratically swayed in the shadows. His body was emitting faint white chi from all over, preventing the bald man from seeing his true appearance. Humph. That Qingwen is already at mid-foundation establishment, but yet he still cultivates so diligently. Could it be he isn't afraid of true essence backlash? And that brat Yishi, when has he ever been so hard-working? The large bald man revealed an expression of astonishment and asked this, puzzled, when you hear this, don't be envious. That Yishi said he felt that he was about to enter mid-foundation establishment. Who gave this guy such good aptitude? He can still keep up with us even without cultivating. What can be done? Although the ice demon advised the large man to not be jealous, his own words were filled with a sour tone.